Welcome to Peace and Power Ukraine, a place to discuss all aspects of policy related to Ukraine. Ukraine sits at the crossroads of modern history where East meets West and freedom collides with totalitarianism. Thank you for joining us during these unprecedented times, where today we wonder if Tomahawk missiles are really going to be approved by President Trump for use deep inside Russia. And we rejoice with our friends in Ukraine that are still alive despite massive Russian missile attacks that are regularly destroying homes. As always, we seek to bring more light than heat as we dig a little deeper each episode. Today, I'm joined by Diyana Gabyak, a wife, a mother of 5, an entrepreneur, an investor, and a servant leader devoted to faith, family, and freedom. Born in Ukraine, but living in the U.S. since childhood, she has served as a worship leader for more than 25 years, using her voice and leadership to glorify God and strengthen the church. At the same time, she has built and led businesses in real estate, development, construction, transportation, logistics, and investment strategy, bringing practical solutions and bold vision to every venture. One of her major initiatives is Ukrainian Week 2026, a multi-forum event designed to strengthen U.S. and Ukraine partnerships in faith, business, and education, to promote strong families, highlight Ukraine's role in the world, and advance the values of liberty and faith in the public square. Welcome today, Diyana. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's an honor to be with you and be recording from in Georgia,
yes.
Part of the United States, not Georgia near Ukraine.
Yeah.
But your story is one that is from 2 different lands. Born in Ukraine, but you moved here when you were 12 years old.
Yes.
And that's a story that I really want to unpack. It's someone who I guess you'd say, I'm an American Ukrainian with the majority of your life spent here. Tell us about that experience.
So yes, I was born in Ukraine and immigrated here together with my parents as an immigrant on a parole status, where we came and my parents went straight to work. We actually had no assistance from the U.S. government, so my parents had to work 3 jobs, and we as kids, we would always go and help them, like in the evenings, to clean libraries or clean restaurants. So I always knew the importance of work and the importance of putting or plugging into, things. Of course, I grew up as a Ukrainian kid because I grew up in the Ukrainian community.
In what part of the country?
So I live in Cleveland, Ohio. That's where we immigrated. And a big population of Ukrainian refugees came to Cleveland back in 1930s. So a lot of deep-rooted Ukrainians. And what's interesting, even when I came, because I came from eastern part of Ukraine, a city called Kryvyi Rih, my culture was more like Eastern Ukrainian. But when we came to Cleveland, most of the Ukrainians there were from Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, so western part. So that's actually where I've learned my Ukrainian language because I spoke Russian, growing up. And whenever right now I talk to people, people don't even recognize that I spoke Russian ever before. So I do honor and respect both languages because I think that's the identity of me, myself. So God gave me the opportunity to be born in Ukraine, but yet immigrate to United States and continue my life here.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful part of the world to grow up in. My parents are from a small town in western Pennsylvania, maybe only 90 minutes from Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So I know that part of the world very well. But they're on the Pennsylvania side of the border and closer to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is famous for this confluence of the rivers, the 3 rivers city. I've always said that Kyiv reminds me a lot of Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful place. But it seems to me that your life is really a confluence. Grew up in Ukraine, speaking Russian, then you come to the U.S., learning to speak Ukrainian. So you are very representative of so many different facets coming together, but you're still passionately supportive of Ukraine, and
Yes.
that's always stayed with you.
Actually, yes, I believe so. But growing up and understanding, I fell in love with this country the day I stepped on this ground. I remember the day when we came, it was in March. I walked the streets and all of the houses looked so beautiful. The greenery, the country felt like heaven to me. I remember even talking to my mom, and she reminds me often of that. She said that I asked her, Mama, how will heaven look if America looks like that? Which is amazing. So I fell in love with this country right away. And growing up, the opportunities that this country has given me, the education, even when I got married, and how we started from nothing together with my husband, and we built several businesses together. I know that this nation had so much to offer, and we took advantage of it. And right now we're here. So I believe my place as an American Ukrainian is very special, because I can really witness what this nation is all about and what Ukraine is all about. And when I came to realize that I should really take some kind of position or some influential movement in politics, or in church even, showing that politics is not only dirty, but yet we are, as Christians, have to take on political position as Christians, showing who we really are and what we should bring. I understood that it's something very unique that I'm born Ukrainian but raised American.
Okay. I want to unpack a little bit more about your family background before maybe we pivot to public policy in current times. So tell us, is your husband also Ukrainian? And then how do you two come together and teach your children about their identity and support for Ukraine?
So yes, my husband is also Ukrainian. He came here actually when he was 21. We met in our church, Slavic Full Gospel Church in Cleveland, Ohio. We got married, and actually this year it's been 21 years since we married. We have 5 children together. At home, we speak both languages, Ukrainian and American. My children do understand that they're American with a Ukrainian descent. And for me, it's very important that they understand where they were born and why they were born here, and what is their place in this nation, yet understand that they're special because God gave them that opportunity to have the Ukrainian descent.
Yep, that's beautiful. I lied. I have one more question. So you said the Slavic Full Gospel Church. Before I was ever involved in this support for Ukraine, I used to regularly drive by here in the Atlanta suburbs a Slavic Full Gospel Church. And one time I asked somebody, what is that? What is Slavic all about? To the normal American, you hear that and you would never associate it with Ukraine, but somebody told me, oh, that's where the Ukrainians all go to church.
That's interesting.
So help our American audience understand, what does this term Slavic mean? How do we dissect that? Because I think the most Americans, that doesn't sound good.
Well, Slavic means multi-nation, I guess. It's Polish people, Belarusian, Russian, Lithuanian, Moldovan, and Ukrainian. We're all together. So, for example, in our church, that's what we have right now. And we all come together to worship the Lord, and we all support Ukraine, support America, and we're all against the war that's happening in Ukraine right now.
And that's beautiful. That's what the church is supposed to look like. Now, I do understand, because of all of those areas, you're going to have Russian speakers, Ukrainian speakers, Moldovan, all of these languages also swirling together. So it's the agreed, we all sing and praise God in English, or how does that get determined?
So, our God is God of balance. So it's important that we honor each other, honor each other's descent, each other's languages. So we try to balance it in church. Most of the Slavic community speaks Russian, definitely. But for some reason, in Cleveland particularly, most of the people speak Ukrainian. So in our church, we hear some preachers who doesn't speak Ukrainian speak Russian, sing Russian, but yet most of the time it's Ukrainian. In different churches in different states, it really depends what the majority spoke before, and that's how they speak. So a lot of Ukrainian churches do speak Russian right now.
Oh, I knew I had to ask you that as a worship leader who had to face that question. And I'll just be honest, as an American traveling to Ukraine many times now, I never know who's speaking Russian or Ukrainian, and I've given up trying to figure out. My ear is not attuned enough. But I want to ask you about, as a worship leader, one of my good friends is a worship leader in Kyiv, named Mark Sergeyev, and just this week, a Russian missile destroyed his home and many of the homes on his block in the suburbs of Kyiv. He lost both of his vehicles, but praise safety surrounded his family, and they are okay. Have you ever, as you witnessed that, have you ever thought to yourself, if I had gone down a different path, maybe that could have been me and my family, if I was a worship leader in Kyiv and,
worship leader's position, it gets attacked spiritually a lot because we are in constant contact with Holy Spirit, so we understand the enemy is not sleeping, he's thinking how to destroy us from different perspectives, different angles that he think will destroy us. For example, Mark, actually, this was his second home that he lost.
Oh, no.
Yes, he lost his first home in Melitopol, when Russian people came, soldiers, and took his home, took the church that his dad was pastoring in. And then the way his story is very unique, the way he escaped from that part of Ukraine. And then he moved to Kyiv, and his decision was to continue serving Ukrainian people and worship. And his worship became so strong worldwide, not because it used to be strong only in Melitopol, but with the war, God has opened up so many, doors for him, and picked up other people who became worship leaders, and like this worship ministry has expanded, that this is what happened to him now. And that doesn't stop him. After that, he went to church and started praising the Lord and continuing. And I think that's how it is for me. I do understand that it's a spiritual war, the war in Ukraine. It's not a political war. So enemy is doing everything he can to destroy Christianity worldwide. And because Ukraine is the Bible Belt of Europe, spiritual battle is very strong. So it's attacking pastors, worship leaders, people who serve in church, who go and preach the gospel.
Well, I am just heartened every time I think that no matter what happens, he is still out there speaking and worshiping. I just saw his video yesterday, and he has not lost that light in his eyes. The first time I met him, he was here in America traveling as a Ukrainian army chaplain, representing the country and explaining the front lines and what that looked like to an American audience. And he still has that look in his eyes.
Well,
it's powerful.
When you have it inside of you, it's something just keeps moving you forward that you can't stop it. You can't explain what it is, but you just know you got to do it. And you step up, step forward, and you keep going. And you know that God is holding your back. He's behind. Even though things are falling apart, things are not the way we think they should be, but we know that Lord is,
Right.
keeping our back.
So speaking of things falling apart, take me back to the start of the full-scale invasion. It was one thing to see all the trouble in 2014 that was being stirred up, and it was awful, and especially in the eastern part of the country
Yeah.
where you're from. But when the full-scale invasion happened, and were you here in the United States, and did you really think it was going to happen? Walk us through those moments for you as you saw that fury from the Kremlin be unleashed on your people.
It's interesting. We were preparing for that war probably for 2 months before the invasion happened. And we heard that it's planning to be happening, but we did not really think that for real it's going to happen. I remember one day my husband, we were just drinking coffee together and talking, and he's like, Diana, do you understand what's going to be happening even if this war really starts? It's going to be a horror, a terror. Not only people will be dying, but people will be tortured. And I said, why do you say that? And he said, because I know the history. I know what has happened previously when Christians were persecuted. So my husband's father said and been imprisoned for being Christian by Soviets for 10 years. His two brothers also served in jail for being Christian. And they know and they saw what was happening to people who were Christian. And because this war is spiritual war, he understood that it won't be just, kind of bombing or killing, like a normal war with an army happening. It's gonna go towards civilians. Because Ukraine is a Christian nation. A lot of people would say, is it a Christian nation? And I could assure you 100%, Ukraine is a Christian nation because it's the Bible Belt of Europe. Even the Ukrainian prayer breakfast movement has started more than 10 years ago already in Ukraine. So just because media is not talking about it, or the information that we're getting here in the States is not the way we think, we should really kind of look from a perspective of a Christian position. Is it really? What is going on? To kind of,
Well, the numbers I've seen are still more than 70% of Ukrainians are faithful church attenders.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they're Orthodox or Catholic or Protestant, whatever the case might be. It's a very faithful Christian first country with other religious minorities. I'd like to hear more about your advocacy work, and I first spent time with you in Milwaukee at the Republican National Convention, and we got a chance to spend some time and introduce you to some of my friends and spend some time at that event and hearing from major leaders. And I was struck by your passionate defense of Ukraine, but also you had a more Republican perspective as an American voter.
Yes.
So your advocacy has in particular been powerful within Republican circles. So help us understand that, and then also Ukrainian Week 2026.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I'm a big advocate for Jesus, and that's my main position. Seeing and analyzing what Republican Party is doing to this nation, policies and things, and analyzing what Democrat Party is doing, I could clearly see that Republican position is the Christian position, a position that Bible is teaching us to live by, right? So I love this country with every fiber of my being. I think it's such an honor that God has given me that opportunity to be living here, prospering, giving birth to my children here in this nation. And I wish that more and more people would understand what value it has to be living in this nation. With that, I just noticed that things are going wrong. Things are going down the hill. And as a Christian, something just has awakened inside of me that I'm here not only to defend Ukraine and Ukrainian people, but I'm here to take on position to defend this nation. So with that, I was able to really clearly see that a lot of Ukrainians are confused in understanding what Republican Party is all about, because a lot of them thought that Republicans are against Ukraine, which is completely false. And I saw that my mission is to advocate in Ukrainian community for America, but yet in American community for Ukraine. And that's where I started stepping out of my comfort zone and kind of understanding that I have to go to this or that meeting, be available, and be that voice to really sound out what God has been putting in my heart. And I do support the Republican Party in everything that we do, because I understand that that's the party that's looking out for this nation. And first and foremost, for Republicans, it's America first, and to do everything in their power, ability, and understanding to make sure that we stay on the foundations of what this nation was built on, and to keep this nation great and to keep it prospering.
Well, I saw you stepping up at a very delicate moment at that convention. You know, Republican support for Ukraine was wavering at that point, but you worked to great effect, and many, many others did. And now the last poll I saw is Republicans are supportive of Ukraine at 71%. And even more than that, I think 92% of Republicans said that they hate Vladimir Putin, which goes against maybe what some of our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, you know, that are facing, you know, missile attacks every night. Maybe they don't understand that and see that, but that's the reality. And indeed, maybe we wouldn't have even guessed that President Trump would have recently. He just said Ukraine with NATO weapons could take back all of their land, unquote.
Exactly.
That's a long way from maybe where we were at the Republican National Convention.
Yes.
Did that give you a new hope for Ukraine, or are you still a little cautiously grounded?
You know, I always trusted President Trump since very beginning. For some reason, I just felt that he holds his position cold only because he needed to. And a lot of times when people would ask me, I would say, just trust the process. He has to be so careful knowing what's happening in this nation right here to be able to balance Russia and Ukraine and Japan and India, everything together. So I always trusted that there's going to be a time where he will take on that bold position to step up. And I think with all of his previous meetings or phone calls, he wanted to trust Putin. He did. He gave him so many chances. But yet, what President Putin did in Alaska, he technically downgraded position of United States on a world level, and he basically wiped his feet of President Trump, which was an embarrassment, you know. And I don't think that President Trump ever thought that Putin will go that far.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so he's a very smart and intelligent man, and I know that he will do everything in his power to save the people that need help. You know, he hates corruption. He always talks about it. I hate corruption. I'm so used to living in a nation where I can trust everybody that I feel like I'm living in a foreign nation right now. So that's why it's our time, our conservative time, to step up and take this nation back. And that's exactly what he's doing. And that's exactly what he's trying to do in Ukraine, knowing that there were some corruption.
Right. I agree. President Trump made every effort, especially with the Alaska summit. He wants peace.
Yeah.
He was fighting for peace.
Exactly.
And I think he is just so disappointed and disgusted to see that Vladimir Putin then turned around and did nothing.
Yeah.
Actually, he did worse than nothing.
He did worse.
He renewed his attacks on Ukraine in an even more fervent way, with more missile strikes, with more drone attacks. And then, beyond just that, now he's pushing against NATO with incursions into Estonia and Poland, and all of these to almost say, I want to expand this war. So it's been incredibly disheartening. He has to understand that. I think that's why there's also now the consideration, as I mentioned at the top end, of having offensive weapons go farther into Russia than ever before, possibly providing American Tomahawk missiles now that these are the type of offensive weapons that could reach all the way to the Kremlin. And President Zelensky said it might be that the Kremlin officials might need to learn where their bomb shelters are located. And even if there's not American missiles that are provided, Ukraine is beginning to be able to produce their own longer range weapons. This is scary in one sense of we're seeing a wider, expanded war that's escalated, but maybe this is necessary to actually then bring Putin back to the peace table. Are you concerned, or am I reading that as maybe that's the only path forward?
I'm concerned because I'm an American. So I really don't want United States to be involved in any foreign wars, because I understand that it's the cost to my people here in the States. But I do understand that position that we hold on the world stage is much, much more greater than just not being involved in the war. So we're basically walking a really thin line. It's a border line that what we can say or what we can do. And the way President Trump really orchestrates it, I think it's phenomenal. The way he spoke at the UN, convention or whatever it was.
Yes. General Assembly.
Yeah, General Assembly. He clearly said to European, look, what are you doing? You're basically supporting your own war. You're paying for weapons that are being aimed at you. But if you continue to do that, I mean, I'm okay to have more funds because the states need it. We are unfortunately in very bad financial position right now as a nation, but he's aiming towards getting us out and putting his word out there how to do it. I think it's a must. There's nothing that we can do and not to be involved in it anymore, because the position that United States hold in the world is probably the greatest of all. So that's what I think.
American leadership is necessary, or else evil will triumph.
Exactly.
Sadly, isolationism has failed America every time it's been tried. Evil will find us and will come across the water. And in this case, we have a chance to push back on it without having American troops.
Yes.
But providing weapons and providing the support Ukraine can push back. And then hopefully we can finally bring Putin back to the negotiation table. But before we end, Diyana Gabyak, thank you for being here. And if there's one thing you want to leave our audience with that maybe we didn't touch on, or one final point today, what might that be?
Well, I would want to speak to all Christian people out there, churches who are just maybe attending churches or take some or hold some leadership position, to step out of your comfort zone and step into public square and really put yourself out there to be an influence in the political world, to really speak for Jesus, because this nation belongs to the Lord. And since we have such a voice on the world stage, it's our responsibility that people who take on the office position in any public service, that first and foremost, they have Jesus in their heart, because that's when they will continue making the right decisions, not to only raise themselves up, but think about the people in their communities, in their states, in their nation, and they will really be advocates for this nation and for Jesus.
So just as a follow-up, tell me again about Ukrainian Week 2026.
Yes, so Ukrainian Week 2026 will be happening this coming year in February, first week of February, from February 2nd to February 7th. It will be happening in Washington, D.C., in Washington Hilton. All of the details will follow up definitely, but we will have activities and events every single day. There will be different forums like business forum, veterans forum, women's forum, pastoral forum, youth forum, and basically what we want to do in the Ukrainian Week is really connect the Ukrainian and American community together, to come together to not only advocate for Ukraine and Ukrainian people, but advocate for Jesus, for Christianity, to really show what United States is all about to the Ukrainians, because we'll have a lot of Ukrainians that will be traveling from Ukraine to the Ukrainian Week, and to show what America is all about and support of American people to the Ukraine and Ukrainian people.
So this is really a world gathering. This
Yes.
is people from around America, around
Yes.
Europe, Ukraine, everyone will
Yes.
come together. So we're talking about hundreds and hundreds, and this is a big event.
Oh, yeah. Well, last year we had, I believe, close to 1,200 people that came, and more people are interested. Some people would say, where was the information? I did not get it. So we're expecting a lot more people. And we understand the timely importance of it during the time that we're living in. So we want to invite everybody that's interested, everybody that just wants to find out information, or any political officials that hold office and would like to come and speak and take part in this, to get connected with us at the Ukrainian Week. .com, I
Yes.
think I'm gonna get to that, but
Well, we'll put it in the show
yeah.
notes, and I know everyone's going to want to attend. I'm glad we're
Yes.
getting the word out early, and you can plan on seeing me there as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Your support, and it's just an honor to have you here with us throughout these years, Gary. I do want to thank you, and for supporting Ukrainian Week and really getting not only your thoughts, but your heart out here, to really show your support. I think a lot of Ukrainians really cherish that.
Well, thank you for those closing words, Diyana Gabyak. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and we'll look forward to more conversations next time on Peace and Power Ukraine. Thank you.